5 shared universes that did it before Marvel. In 2008, Marvel Studios' Iron Man began the cinematic juggernaut known as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU for short. Receiving high reviews and more money than a mouse could count, it set the standard for the modern era of filmmaking. Essentially, in order to compete, other film companies have to create their own cinematic universes to make the big money. With Warner Brothers fumbling through their own DC expanded universe, as well as a new Harry Potter universe, Sony is struggling to create a franchise out of Spider-Man and Ghostbusters, and Universal is in the production stages of their new Universal Monsters universe. Our wallets will be getting considerably lighter over the next couple of years as we rush to see these new movies. But what if we told you that Marvel wasn't the first to create the shared universe idea? Here are 5 other franchises from both film and television that had their own shared universes before Marvel did. Number 5. Godzilla's expanded Toho universe. Bet you didn't see this coming. Yes, the king of the monsters is the head of his own franchise universe. For the uninitiated, the Godzilla films follow one of 2 paths. Either he's here to kill us and destroy our cities, or he's here to protect us from an even worse giant monster and destroy our cities. Starting back in 1954 with the release of the original Godzilla movie, the series features all of the Zilla movies, the 2 American adaptations, several spin-off movies based around fellow giant monsters Rodan and Mothra, a number of strange sci-fi series, and most interesting of all, super powered-up versions of Frankenstein and King Kong. Get this, King Kong even had an enemy called Mecha Kong, who's just a giant robot monkey. Ah, Japan, never change. The most recent entry in the franchise is 2016's Godzilla Resurgence, which could very well pave the way for many more Godzilla movies down the road. But if you find yourself preferring America's 2014 version of the character, then you're in luck, since that was the start of a franchise of its own, leading up to a rematch between Godzilla and King Kong from the new Kong Skull Island movie. In the words of Ken Watanabe, let them fight! Number 4. Doctor Who's Whoniverse. Meanwhile, in jolly old England, their very own time-traveling physician has a whole universe of possibilities for spin-offs and tie-ins. The first attempt came in 1981, where ex-companion Sarah Jane Smith acquired a robot dog called K9, hence the title K9 and Company. The pilot wasn't picked up, and there wouldn't be any attempts at making another spin-off until the turn of the century, when a more adult-oriented show, Torchwood, found its way onto our screens, following the adventures of a team of alien hunters headed by the immortal Captain Jack Harkness. Not wanting to leave the kids out, Sarah Jane got a second crack at a series, this time called The Sarah Jane Adventures, where the investigative journalist teamed up with a bunch of school kids to save the world. These 2 shows ran alongside Doctor Who from 2006 to 2011, with Sarah Jane starting in 2007 and was a veritable golden age in modern Doctor Who history, 2008 being noted as a particularly great year. Both Torchwood and Sarah Jane were eventually canceled for different reasons, but in 2016, a new spin-off, simply titled Class, began airing. Whether that show will last for more than 1 season remains to be seen, but in any case, it's nice to know that the world will always be safe, even when the Doctor isn't around. Number 3. The Ubisoft universe. Game developer Ubisoft are most well known for their Assassin's Creed franchise, where players enter the memories of various long-dead assassins in order to save the present. But did you know that Ubisoft's other games, Far Cry and Watch Dogs, take place in the same universe? While there hasn't been a direct crossover between the franchises, there are enough nudge-nudge, wink-winks to establish a consistent canon and universe. Warning, things are about to get complicated as we try to explain the mad history of the Ubiverse. In this universe, the human race was created by these precursor beings who treated them like slaves. After a solar flare hit the Earth, everything was destroyed, leaving the humans to scrounge for themselves and live on. This is when Far Cry Primal takes place, where you can meet a guy who performs the first leap of faith that the assassins would later adopt. You then have the rest of human history, where most of the Assassin's Creed games take place, leading right up to the modern day. In Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, you play as an intern at a 21st century Abstergo facility, which is run by Olivier Garneau, who mysteriously disappears later in the campaign. In Watch Dogs, protagonist Adrian Pierce, expert hacker and vigilante, assassinates Olivier after seeing that the Assassin's Brotherhood want him dead. There are more Easter eggs and connections between the three franchises, but those are the main points. Whether there'll be an official crossover remains to be seen, but who really knows what Ubisoft has planned. Number 2. The Star Trek universe. There was a time when Star Trek dominated the airwaves. While the original series with Kirk, Spock, and Bones was canceled after just 3 seasons in the 1960s, Star Trek found a new home on the big screen with the release of several movies, each with varying success. The series came back to TV in 1987 with Star Trek: The Next Generation, which quickly brought about 2 more series, set around the same time: Star Trek Deep Space Nine in 1993 and Star Trek Voyager in 1995. So during the 1990s, you had the original cast in the movies, who were later replaced in films by the Next Generation cast, and 3 different series on air, with only 2 airing at a time. All with connecting stories, crossover cameos from characters, and the sense of world building and interconnectivity that hasn't been felt since. However, with a series of this magnitude airing constantly, enthusiasm began to waver, leading to the final Next Generation film Nemesis being released in 2002, and the run of TV shows eventually being canceled in 2005 with Star Trek Enterprise. The oversaturation of their product eventually drove the franchise to its grave. Then, in 2009, Star Trek was rebooted into a new spin-off universe with a younger cast and a much-needed adrenaline boost. Following the success of these movies, a new series is now in production set in the original timeline, called Star Trek Discovery. Little is known of this series and of the confirmed 4th reboot movie. All we know for sure is that they will boldly go where no one has gone before. Number 1. The DC Animated Universe. It's somewhat baffling that DC is struggling to get traction on the big screen when they've already achieved it on the small screen, and to children no less. Based off the existing assortment of DC comic book heroes, the universe is highly regarded, not only among fans of the different shows, but also by critics. In 1992, Batman the Animated Series hit our screens, presenting arguably one of the best adaptations of Batman to date. With its dark color palette, intense storytelling, and stellar voice work, it's the standard upon which most Batman media is compared to today. It was promptly followed by Superman, the animated series, which was also great in its own right. Batman Beyond and Static Shock followed suit, culminating with the outstanding Justice League and Justice League Unlimited series. Just because it was a kids' show didn't restrict it from dealing with some important issues and dark storylines. It struck a great balance between serious storytelling and some more lighthearted moments, very similar to what Marvel would do with their movies a couple of years down the line. It just goes to show you that you can always use a little light to offset the dark. Hint, hint, Warner Brothers. Quite frankly, if you haven't been satisfied with the current slate of DC films, then journey back to the past and watch a series that's in a league of its own.